Good morning, Math 8 students. Okay, a quick review on how we can find slope from a graph. This is a cool program called GeoGebra. It's very good visually. We can see things. We have some nice, cool drawing tools. But I just want to review this with you guys really quick today. So just some review. So we have slope, right? Slope is represented by the m letter in our equation. And slope is equal to rise over run. That's always what it is. You might hear change in y over change in x. That is something else you may see, but it's always rise over run. And when I mean that rise can also mean fall. Like if we have a negative slope. So rise is representative of your y-axis or your vertical axis, and run, and 99.9% of the time when we are running to the right. Okay, there's going to be that, like less than 10% chance, I would say, that you're going to the left. And that's only when you run out of space on your graph. Okay, so 99.9% of the time when we run, and I'll show you what I mean by that, we'll run to the right. And that's always representative of our horizontal axis, which is our x and y, which goes left to right, which is different from our y-axis or our vertical axis going up and down. So you always have to rise and then run. Okay, very important. Down here, this is our slope-intercept form. That's just a fancy vocabulary word for this is a line equation. That's exactly what this is right here, except we have to plug in some information to figure out what that is, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So, couple things. When you are calculating slope or you're finding slope on a line, you need to have two good points. Okay, they need to be whole number, they need to be counting numbers. They cannot be like the point xy. If you look at the point xy, it's between 9 and 10 on the y-axis, it's between 8 and 9 on the x-axis. That could be any number, so being able to count and get an accurate slope would be very, very difficult to do. So we cannot use a point like this. It's got to be they have to be nice number points, and you have to have at least two nice number points to be able to do that. Okay? Just wanted to make you aware of that. So let's find slope. So when we go in here, when we're finding slope, what we want to do is we want to draw basically a right triangle. That's all we're doing. Right here, we're just going to count. So in this case, we're rising, we're going up. So this is a positive slope, right? Because you're going uphill. Positive, as slope dude would say. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're actually rising 4, right? So we're going up 4. Let's count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to the right. 1, 2. Like I said before, most of the time you're going to go to your right. If I wanted to redo this, I could go in the other direction. If I didn't have any space, could I go down and to the left too? Yes, I could. Watch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And as you notice, that's going to be a good point on the line, right? So you only want to do that though when you go over or when you're out of space on your graph. So you can see two right triangles here. Now, we look at our rise over our run, it's actually 4 over 2. All right, 4 over 2, when we reduce it, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our rise over our run is 2 over 1. Now, it doesn't make a difference. I reversed it. Let's say I ran out of graph and I reversed it and went in the other direction, and I had to actually go to the left to get an extra point so I could actually draw a line. If you see that, -4 divided by -2 is also 2, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So it all works out. However, you rise and then you run unless you're out of space, and then you can reverse it. So, that can be difficult to understand, but here is our graph, or here is the slope of our graph. Okay, one other thing I want to mention to you, there's a b value here, which we didn't talk much about. The b value represents our y-intercept. A y-intercept is where this line would actually intersect or cross through this vertical axis. Now, in this case, there is a y-intercept, we just can't see it. Okay, we'd have to be able to blow up this graph and see the rest of the graph and where this line would actually cross the y-axis. And it looks like it would be somewhere in the negative area, which we don't have. However, a b value, when you're calculating slope, if you get 2 points, it's good. But most cases, we start by calculating or finding our slope from our y-intercept, or our starting point, our initial value. And let's say I gave you 5 as our b value. We could do the same thing here. We could count up 5 or 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go over 2. That would give us our slope going through. So when you start graphing from an actual line equation, which we're not doing yet, you will start with your B value, and then you will go from your B value using your slope, either rising and running or falling and running. So, it all depends. This is just a quick review. Hopefully this helps you get through the quizzes, and you have an awesome Math Tuesday. Everybody have a good one. Email us if you have any questions.